Hey guys, this is David. I just wanted to review the Blog Talk Radio service and share with you why I switched to Audello. Now, if you're a podcaster like I am, you take the work that you do very seriously. I mean, you have to prepare for these interviews and you have to do all these different things to create these podcasts, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy to create, an hour-long interview, and the scheduling the interview and then recording it and then editing and uploading and promoting it. It takes a lot of work to get this content out there. And I started using Blog Talk Radio maybe a year and a few months ago. And initially I thought, cool, it's easy. I can just sign up and, it's $39 a month, which is a little bit steep. I mean, considering when you're starting out, I mean, if you have 5 or 10 podcasts, you're paying every month like a few dollars per podcast. If you have 10 podcasts, for example, you're paying $3.90 a month to host each podcast. And, that just doesn't make a lot of sense because the actual hosting bandwidth that you're using is probably a tenth of that, if probably even less than that. So I'm going to show you the Blog Talk Radio infrastructure, and when I log in, you can see what it is. And as you can see here, I'm going to log in. And like I said, I'm paying $39 a month for this. And as you can see, if I go to my dashboard, I have the different host tools is what they call it. And one of the things that initially off the bat I didn't like about Blog Talk Radio was that they give you a phone number for guests to call in. I haven't used that once. So you're paying every month, and say it's $10 a month of the $39 a month you're paying for. You're paying that every month to pay for this phone number that you probably won't use. And I've actually heard people have live guests call in and that kind of thing, and it never goes well. Like half the calls are dropped, and it's just a waste of time and energy, and it just doesn't make sense, and no one uses it. So unless you have guests planning on calling in, it really doesn't make a lot of sense. And right now, as you can see, the site isn't even loading, and this isn't my internet connection. This is actually Blog Talk Radio because they have all sorts of problems. There it goes, finally. So as you can see, it shows you your stats. You can create an episode here. You can broadcast or upload. You just title it, describe it, tag it, and upload it. No, nothing too crazy. When you click on episodes, you can see the different episodes that you have. Little slow loading, and it's once again not my internet because I have high-speed internet, higher speed than most high-speed internet. And as you can see here, it shows you your episodes and how many archived listens that you have, and it's just each episode. So it just shows you that, and then you can see your stats, and then your audio clips, and then your studio. It's kind of self-explanatory. It's not rocket science. Here's the big problem I have with, there's a few big problems I have with Blog Talk Radio. First one, like I said, is that you're paying for a phone number every single month, and you're probably not going to use it. So getting a phone number for people to call in is part of Blog Talk Radio's service, and that's just one of the features. And whether you use it or not, you're paying $39 a month, which a portion of that money is obviously for that phone number. You can see all your stats in here and things like that. And then if I go to an episode, let me show you an episode real quick. And so you can see the second thing I really don't like about Blog Talk Radio. And then I'll get to the third thing. And once I get to the third thing, you're going to run so fast from Blog Talk Radio that is just ridiculous. So I'm going to go to my podcast, my latest podcast. And this was an update I did for my podcast, the Healthy, Well, and Free podcast, sharing that I'm moving my podcast, and they're going to have to be some changes. So you go here, they can play, the episode here, and right now, watch what happens. See, this ad comes up on the left. I have to close out of that, and then this ad starts playing here. Okay, this ad right here, it's just now ending. So it took about 30 seconds or so, and then now the podcast is playing, and I can pause it. So I had the ad on the left. I have this ad on the right here. I have this ad up here, and I had a pre-roll ad for my podcast. Granted, I am paying $39 a month to put my content on this site, and they're putting ads on it still, all over it. The pop over on the left, the right banner, the header, and then the pre-roll ad. So I'm paying for them to earn money with advertising. And, I get my podcast out there, which is what I want, but, they say they give you a percentage of profits from Blog Talk Radio. Bullshit. I've had, 20-something thousand listens to my podcast as a whole. And when I go into here, there's somewhere, and I don't even know where because it's that bad of an interface, where you can see your earnings. And as you can see, each episode, my episodes probably average over time, maybe 600, some are 500 listens, some are 1,000 listens, some are 2 or 3,000 listens, and I have 50 episodes. So, I've had probably around 20,000 listens, I don't know, something around there. And I don't even know where it is in here, but my ad earnings is like $1.20. And like I said, I've had tens of thousands of listens, and that's all I've earned. So I don't know what the sharing agreement is, but it's horrible, and I'm never going to earn anything from it. And it's just a trap, and they put ads all over your content, and you can't do a thing about it, and you're still paying $39 a month, regardless if you use the number or not. And the ad revenue is never going to pay you out unless you have a really, 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 really popular show. Then you might make like $10 a month back, and you're still paying $39 a month. So you're never going to pay for your monthly Blog Talk Radio hosting account. And then the third thing I don't like, besides the number that I don't use that I'm technically paying for, and the ads showing all over my stuff. The third thing I really don't like, and this is something that's really frustrating to me, is Blog Talk Radio's hosting is horrible. I've literally emailed them multiple times about this. And look what happens. Whoops, that's not what I was, 1 second. That's not it right there. Let me pull it up right here. Okay, so here it is. This is my Blog Talk Radio podcast. As you can see, it shows 7 episodes, 7 items, right? For the last 2 or 3 months, 7, 10, 14, 12 or so of my episodes have actually been showing in iTunes. And I have 56 episodes in Blog Talk Radio. So Blog Talk Radio is not hosting. They don't have enough bandwidth in their hosting to actually pay for all of your episodes. I've experienced this over and over and over. I've emailed support at Blog Talk Radio so many times, and they suck. Like, they're horrible. And I've asked them over and over, like, what's going on? They're like, oh, it's iTunes' fault. I do not believe them at all because I'm paying them for hosting. The hosting is what keeps us on iTunes. It's not iTunes frameworks. It's not iTunes at all. I go to other podcasts and their episodes are all showing and they're never hidden. It's because they're hosting with a better provider. So what I decided to do is, because of those 3 problems, because 90% of my episodes would be missing at any given time, ads all over my podcasts, and just the excess, and there's other bugs and problems. This software is the buggiest software. There's more bugs in this Blog Talk Radio software than any software I've ever paid for in my life. And it was what I thought was my only solution, and it really pissed me off. And then I came across a software called Audello, and I'm going to show you that right now because I just switched over, and it saved me so many headaches. I'm going to log in right here real quick, and when I log into Audello, you'll be able to see my back office area. And what they do is, it's actually... gonna take a second. Maybe it's my computer that's a little slow. Here it goes. Okay, so as you can see, I have my files here, and all that you do is you just drag and drop, import your audio files, and you can throw them in your podcast folder here, and then upload them, and then you can see your stats here. And I literally just uploaded these recently, so it's not really, yeah. It's like I said, brand new. So I'm not going to see any stats because I literally haven't even announced the new, the new podcast. So it's literally a brand new podcast as of a few days ago, and nothing has been shared about it. But as you can see here, you can see the stats, and it gives you all that kind of information too. You're not paying for a phone number. There's no ads on your content, and your content is hosted. My content is hosted on Amazon S3, so it's in the cloud. So I know that is going to be safe and secure, and it's going to be, good. Amazon S3 isn't going down anytime soon. It's the cloud. Much more dependable than Blog Talk Radio. So I can see my stats, my files, and whoops, I can choose the podcast there and actually see the stats for what's going on. But basically, my computer is actually being slow right now because that, little mouse thing. But before it was Blog Talk Radio, because I don't think I was doing that mouse thing, because they're just slow overall. But as you can see, it's a very clean interface, very simple. You just throw your audio files in, drag them in the podcast, and you can just put audio. You can put audio files in here, and it's very, very, very simple. Cool thing too is Audello they have an iPhone app, and they're creating an Android app, so you can literally just record a podcast on your iPhone or Android and upload it right to your podcast, and it's hosted on Amazon S3. The price difference is simple. Blog Talk Radio is $39 a month every month regardless. Audello is $200 one time, but then you're hosting on Amazon S3, so Amazon S3 may be like $2 a month. I mean, it's literally going to be less than 10%, $2-3 a month, probably 10% of what Blog Talk Radio costs. So it's essentially free after you pay for Audello. And you don't have to deal with your podcasts being down potentially because Blog Talk Radio is hosting, and you don't have to deal with all those ads all over your episodes. And you get simple, easy code to embed the audios without these like big clunky files. And I haven't experienced any bugs at all in the Audello software yet. It's much cleaner interface, much cleaner software, better coders behind it. I can just tell. I've worked with coders before, and I'm very pleased with the results. So if you're looking to start a podcast, I highly recommend switching. If you are starting a podcast, start with Audello. Audello. I do not recommend Blog Talk Radio. It's been a hassle. It's been a nightmare. I've probably spent $500 with, over the months with hosting with them. And a lot of my episodes have been missing. I haven't made any ad revenue. It's never going to pay out. And there's just been so many bugs and hassles, so many headaches and stress that I've had to email them over and over. And their support is really slow, I've noticed too. Blog Talk Radio may take 2 or 3 days to get back to me. Audello, they get back to me within 24 hours every time. So there are literally 5 reasons to choose Audello over Blog Talk Radio. And your monthly expenses are going to be a lot lower, and you're going to be insured that your podcasts are online because you're in the cloud or you're using hosting that can sustain what you're hosting with. And you're paying based on what you use, not for all these extra bells and whistles that you probably won't use. So I highly recommend Audello. You can just check it out at audello.com. And if you want to switch your podcast from Blog Talk Radio to Audello, you can do that. You just need to email podcasts@apple.com. Just transfer your episodes. Download and then re-upload in Audello, and then connect to S3, and then email podcast@audello.com, and they'll make the switch for you and redirect the feed so you don't lose your reviews on your podcast, which is important, for your rankings and things. And you can make the switch. I did, and I'm very happy. I'm going to have a lot less headaches next year with this podcast, and it's going to save a lot of time, a lot of stress, and money, and headaches. So, big fan of Audello, not a fan at all of Blog Talk Radio. I know this video went on for a while, but someone needed to share how horrible Blog Talk Radio is and how much better Audello is, and I hope this helps you out if you're starting a podcast. If so, like the video below, leave your comments, and I'll link up all the information below as well. Thanks a lot for your time. This is David, and have a great day. Bye.